Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Discussions of Exploration with your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi. Today I'm joined with a very special guest, and I know that I tend to say this, but I had to really pace myself because Harun has been in our lives for many, many years. Harun, please introduce yourself to my listeners and viewers, and then we'll delve into the conversation. But
So Harun Rabbani is my name. I have been in the field of self-development, personal development, transformation since 1999. I say 98, I should say. I say that, but actually no, it's been longer than that. Since I was 16, I used to do martial arts. I was a kung fu, Laogai kung fu student from the 1984 actually. When I was 14, so yeah, I'm that old. Doesn't look like it, I know, but I am. And so here's what happened. Our kung fu classes got bigger and bigger, and it was adults and kids mixed. And then one day my sifu, my kung fu teacher, he says to me, Harun, can you look after the kids? And I'm like, no, I want to train. No, but you look mean and they'll listen to you. And I thought, all right, okay, I'll tell you what, here's what I'll do. I'll train them. So he'd do his classes and I'd do the ones of the little kids. It started off with about 5 or 6 kids, and I would train them so hard. I wouldn't punish them, I'd just train them hard, that they would be in tears, literally. Following week, I thought they'd never come back, I can go back to my training. Following week, they would come back and their siblings would be there. The reason why, the parents thinking, oh my God, my child slept so well all week. This kung fu stuff must be working. So the classes got bigger and bigger. So actually it was self-defeating, me trying to train them that hard. So that's when I started personal development, but a lot's happened since then, which I can tell you about later on, maybe.
Absolutely. This is a bit of a Pandora's box. You know, Harun came into my life when I was just watching in awe of the people that he was surrounded by and talking to. So I just had to have Harun as a guest on the show, and I was really made up when he said he was willing to do that, because I know you're super busy as well. And I wonder if you can share with the guests the topic that you would like to discuss today.
Well, currently, at the time of recording, we are going through a global situation, let's call it that. A pandemic, they call it. And there's this virus that's affecting people. Now, I'm somebody who looks at not just is the glass half full, half empty I'm not interested in, because I'm grateful for what I have. But I'm looking at what's going to happen when the glass is full. And here's what I see, and I have been ahead of wherever I'm doing for many, many years over many things. And it's not bragging, it's just my observation. And here's my observation that, God, 10 years ago, my parents, I was talking to them, they said, you know what? We remember you saying, make sure you have stock of dried food like rice and like flour and like pasta and chickpeas and stuff like that, because one day you'll be in a situation where you'll need it. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, of course I knew it. And I can tell you there's many other things. That's one example, but one thing I can tell you is we are entering a new phase of civilization, quite drastically different. Drastically, not a little bit, it's dramatically different. If you think of those people who are old enough to remember pre the internet, how the world was, for those who were born into the internet era, they look back, they'll think, huh, you guys were cavemen? But if you compare the two, well, there's a big difference. Well, where we're entering is exponentially more different to that difference. And so why a new humanity is we actually are in this crossing point, in this pivotal point where we can make a choice. And the choice, as I see it, is it's not really much of a choice, but it is. It's a choice of whether we continue to carry forward the fear-based living, the survival-based living, the dog-eat-dog world, the them and us world, the compare, compete, the contrast ourselves, see how different we are, how special, look at me, my ego is much bigger than yours. This is what creates wars. We can go forward with that. But here's what will happen. We will destroy ourselves. We will destroy. We will have the 6th mass extinction of this planet. The very first time it will be created by one of its own species. Before it was meteors, it was movement of the poles, the North and South Pole, polar shifts. There's been volcanoes. This time, it will be humans. We won't just take ourselves out. We will wipe out 95% of the planet. That is one version of the new story. The other version, which I believe to be true, and I believe to be the case, and I'm not an unrealistic optimist. I'm not one of these, I know you've been surrounded by people who are rah, rah, rah. I'm not into that. I'm very realistic and I'm very optimistic. We create our reality with the game level we play at. We create the reality at the level we play at. And if we want to change the external reality, we've got to change the internal reality. So the new humanity takes participation, conscious participation. It takes you and I, and you're doing amazing stuff. I love what you're doing. You may be like, even with the homeschooling, I think it's brilliant, even though it was possibly because of bullying or whatever. That's the best thing you can do. So, your children are part of this new humanity. We, us, slightly older blokes and blokesses, we are also part of this new humanity. So the question is, how the heck do we transition to this new humanity without destroying each other? Because if you look at social media, if you watch the news, everyone's at each other's throats. And I've been trying to rack my brain for the last few days and think, how do we do this without creating a them and us? Very difficult. It's possible. It's very difficult. So the new humanity that's going to come about is all to do with our conscious collaboration. Imagine you're an individual, you are a conscious being. You don't have to imagine that you are that. You're already a human being and conscious being. You are that. So if, for example, you're dehydrated, parts of your body looks like you're dehydrated, your feet look like, hey, it looks dry skin there. Besides putting on cocoa butter, you'll want to drink water. And that will satiate your whole entire being, correct? So now imagine that you've got the global species called the human race as one. Imagine we were to satiate human species with the right type of conscious transformation, then we don't need to change everybody. Everybody will change anyway. Feed the heart and you will feed the whole of humanity. So my purpose in life, you've asked me what my purpose in life is. My purpose in life is to waken people up from their spiritual amnesia. Waken people up from this thing that they think they are not powerful. You are way more powerful than you've been led to believe. Way more powerful than the motivational speakers have been telling you, what the schools have been telling you, Tony Robbins, who are way more powerful than that. I'm not interested in telling you that you're way more powerful so you can buy my goodies and I'm going to have a big fan. I don't care. All I want you to be aware of is you're way more powerful and then act upon it. So if enough of us do that, humanity will change. So that's the topic.
Guy, listeners and viewers, you're certainly in for a treat. What a start, Harun. What a really powerful, passionate start. And for me, what really stuck with me is the spiritual amnesia. Listeners and viewers, how does that sit with you? Spiritual amnesia. You are way more powerful than you think you are. So let's listen in. Harun, taking upon some of the things that you've just exchanged with us, which are very valid, I guess the pressing question for myself is the how. I love that we need to, but I guess a lot of people are saying, like, how do I do that? I'm at home, everything's not going on so well, I've just lost my job, house is, there's so many things going on around me. How do I now think about humanity when I can't even settle myself at home?
It's the brilliant question to ask, and it's the wrong question to ask. Let me repeat, this is for everybody. I mean, that was the right question for you to ask as an interviewer, but it's absolutely the wrong question for us to ask ourselves. It's the wrong way around. You have spring, summer, autumn, winter. You don't have winter, autumn, summer, spring. It's always in one cycle. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. You know, if humanity disappears overnight, sun will still rise from the east and set in the west. So there's a certain way of asking. And so the first question is, why? You, the listener, the viewer, why are you here? Because I can give you an infinite number of hows. It's absolutely meaningless because you haven't got the bloody why. Sorry. Whoops, if there's children watching. If you haven't got enough of a why, then forget it. Just do what everyone else is doing. Go to sleep, stop panicking. Watch BBC News websites. It'll tell you everything about COVID-19. So the first question is why? Why was I born? Let me tell you why you were born. Because you have been given a gift. Spiritual amnesia. You have been given a gift. The gift is often wrapped up in a bunch of poo called life experiences, called traumas, called childhood issues. You've been given a gift that is wrapped with crap. Now, if you're given that kind of gift, of course, if it was your birthday and someone gave you a gift and it was full of cow dung around it, you'll go, ugh, it stinks. What if I was to say that you were given a gift, and in that gift, it is the most powerful gift you can imagine. Forget getting a Ferrari or a Bugatti or a Tesla or a car, a KA car. Forget any of this. Forget getting your mansion. Forget winning the lottery. Imagine this gift is the most powerful gift you can ever possibly imagine. All your dreams were to come true. Now, to get to that gift, you have to get rid of the wrapping. And what is the wrapping? It's all the crapping that you've received in your life from the very beginning. Here's what happens. You were born perfect, not in a state of sin. Let me take my glasses off. I don't need to read anything. Not in a state of sin. You were born in a state of perfection, absolute pure innocence. And your mother and your father loved you, hopefully. And so at one point, you were learning how to stand up and then walk. And you fell back down. And you know what your mother did or your father did? They said, well done, you're beautiful, you're amazing. Come on, you can do it. And you fell down again. Said it again. And they said it again. And you did it again. 11,000 times on average, says psychologists. 11,000 attempts you make to stand up and you fall. Stand up and fall before you can walk. Can you imagine? My oldest son's name is Hamza. So can you imagine when he's had 5,000 goes? I say to him, you know, son, you're 18 months old, 5,000 attempts. It's walking malarkey. It's overrated. It's not for you. No, I encouraged him. And so what happens? You walk. Parents can't wait for you to talk. So as a father, of course, I want my sons to Abu first, which means dad. Mothers want to say Amma or Mum or Mummy or whatever, or Mommy, depends on which part of the world you're in. You want to hear that? My son says Abu, by the way, just to let you know, that was the first words. You want them to talk. But as soon as they start running around and walking and talking, you can't wait for them to sit down and shut up. And so a child hears the word no, no, no 400 times on average every single day compared to 2 or 3 yeses. So what happens is you traumatize your child. You got traumatized. Not your fault, not their fault. Not the parent. It's just how it is. So we collect these traumas, and you imagine the heart. Your heart is like encased in this glass bowl, and you've got this beautiful object. Just imagine like the planet, planet Earth from afar. You know, this beautiful planet. Imagine your heart is encased in this glass, and every little trauma is like a little speck of dust, or a piece of mud, or cow poo, or seagull poo, or whatever, on this glass. And every trauma, every no becomes like that. It's not that you shouldn't say no to your children, just 400 times a day. Seriously, wake up. So by the time a child gets to adulthood, 99% of this glass windscreen is covered with muck. And so this 1% remaining, that's where curiosity, adventure, lovingness, kindness, compassion is left. The rest is fear-based, survival-based conditioning. That means most of what people see through their eyes, through their perception, is through the eyes of fear. and survival. And so the question is, first of all, is say, decide, this is my why. So for example, with Sabrina, I know without a shadow of a doubt, her biggest why is to be the most amazing mother to her children possible. And damn it, she is, like compared to most mothers that I know, including my own, nothing against my own mother, I get along with her. One of the most amazing women in the world. I'm not saying it because you interviewed me, right? I know, you know that to be true. So that's one of her big purposes. But you need as many as possible. Why should you create a new humanity? Why should you change? Because unless you've got enough whys, not one why, unless you've got enough whys, guess what will happen? Imagine you want to go running for the first time and you don't have enough reason to run. You're going to go running and you get a little injury and you're going to give up. This is what happened to me. I used to hate running. I did martial arts, but I did a medical test through my company and they found loads of cholesterol. Slim me, lots of cholesterol, doesn't make sense. So I started running on the treadmill. 5 minutes seemed like 5 hours. I hated it, but I knew I had to do it. And then one day my brother says, hey, why don't you join me for the Great North Run? I thought, oh, okay. So the week before the Great North Run, I did the Nottingham Half Marathon. Here's what happened. I knew that the people in front of me, because there's like 10, 20,000 people there. So a lot of people are going to be slow runners. So you know what I did? There was the elite runners, the ones who are in the Olympics and whatever. Then the ones behind them, the super fast runners. I went alongside them. I wasn't a super fast runner, but I tuned in. I went into rapport with them, tuned into their movement. For the first 10 minutes, I was running like a super fast runner, not quite elite, but I was just behind the elite. 10 minutes in, boom, my knee went. And for the rest of, so that would have been about 11 miles, I limped most of the race. 100 meters run and then 100-meter walk all the way through. I remember that race really well. Following Sunday is the Great North Run, and I'm in agony. I'm in pain. And I wake up and I say to my brother the night before, because he's running with me, I say to him, you know what? I don't know if I can make it, but I'll do my best. I was in pain, and here's what I did. I'd raised 450 pounds. This is 1999 maybe, or 98. I raised 420 pounds or something like that for national NSPCC, National Society of Preventing Cruelty to Children. And I thought, you know what? This is for the children. It's not for me. So this purpose became for somebody else. You see, when you make the purpose about others and stop being so damn selfish, then guess what happens? Excuses fly away. And you know what? My pain went and I did that half marathon and I didn't limp at all. And I can give you example after example, and I won't, that without the why, you can't move forward. So you need to have, here's my tip. Tip number 1, 100 different whys for anything you want to do. Write down 100 whys, because they are the very reasons that when you struggle, and you will, when you struggle, your subconscious mind says, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to say, you know what? Here's why. So number 1 is why. Number 2, know what it is you want to do. I know that we are going to create a new humanity. I know my role in it. I know how I'm going to do it from my side with absolute clarity, absolute conviction, total intention. So the person who has the greatest clarity of vision and the greatest certainty of intention is the one who turns it into a realization. So clarity of vision, certainty of intention takes you to the realization. So the more you get clarity, so know what it is. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What do I know to be true about this thing? So I know with total intuition that we're entering this new humanity. So what do I know to be true? Okay, second question is what? Why what? Third question is who? Who am I serving? Dr. John D. Martini, one of the greatest philosophers I know alive, such a humble guy. He says this, and I love it. He says, if you want to make a difference to yourself, you got to have a vision as big as your family, at least. If you want to make a difference to your family, you're going to have a vision as big as your community. If you want to make a difference to your community, you've got to have a vision as big as your city or your town. If you want to make a difference to your city or town, you've got to have a nationwide vision. If you want to make a difference to your country, you've got to have a global vision. But get this, Sabrina. If you want to make a difference to the world, you got to have a vision that transcends time and space. So choose carefully what level you want to work at. And then in that vision, say, who am I supporting? Number 1, Who am I serving? The who is it that I'm serving? Then you ask, very importantly, who do I need to help me? Who are the people I know who may be able to help me? May be able to help me. Okay? So you start building your network. You start building meaningful relationships. So once you know who, then you say, okay, where, and more importantly, when. Where you can do online, you can do whatever. That's easy, simple. What's the timing of it? So the new humanity, it needs to start unfolding now, because it is. How long will it take? It'll take about 10, 15 years before it's fully unfolded. It might be quicker, 10, 15 years. So once you know the why, the what, the who am I serving and who do I need, the where and the when, then you ask this final question. How am I going to do it? So I'm going to give you real life examples. In 1993, I'm sat at my uni apartment flat. It was a house, actually. I was in my room. And I had this big computer. It was a Dell computer, a desktop, big chunky machine. And it had these wires on the back and these cables. And it had a microphone. And I thought to myself, I wonder what would happen. That wire that looks like a plug socket wire, if I can connect that wire to my phone sockets, do something with the software, and my uncle in Bangladesh, that's where I'm originally from, he does the same. We can talk for free. Oh my God, because back in those days, telephone costs, international cost was very high. So we can talk for free for ages. This is before the internet. I hadn't even heard of the internet at that point. So you know what I did about it? Nothing. 10 years later, a company gets launched, and that gets sold to another company for a couple of billion. And then 15 years after, I can't remember how long after that, it gets sold for 2015. Google buys it for $15 billion. Company's name, Skype. That was in 1993. Skype didn't come out until 2003. The internet hadn't been invented. Though I doubted myself, because I said to myself, I don't know how to fix a computer. I'm not a computer engineer studying economics, right? I don't know how to do this. No. What I should have said was, why am I doing this? What is it that I'm actually trying to achieve? Who's going to benefit global population? Who do I need? Who do I know? Well, I know lecturers, I know a few electronic people, a few software engineers. So I should have said, who do I know who knows how to do this problem? Who do I know who knows how to fix this issue, this challenge? So there are the questions to ask: why, what, who, where, when, and then how. So your question was, how do we create this new humanity? Am I correct? Or do you word it slightly different?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so there are two things I want to look at. First of all is, so the question is, how do we create this new humanity? First of all, I said from the outset, you are far more powerful than you've ever been led to believe. And so Einstein couldn't wrap his head around this. He wanted to create a unified theory, field theory, which basically shows with a very simple formula that everything's connected. They could not get head around the point that we as human beings are all connected at a quantum level. Couldn't get head, and he called it, I actually got the note here. He called it spooky action at a distance. And so his successors, including people like John Wheeler, who is the man who came up with the terminology black holes. What they say from all the experiments, I won't go into the experiments, what they say is this, that we are active participants in the one consciousness field. We are participants. We're not just observers, we are participants. Here's what happens. You, Sabrina, you, the audience member, every single cell in your body gives an electromagnetic radiation, that a field of information. Every single cell of your body. Some of your organs give a certain frequency and others give more. The biggest organ is your heart. Your heart by far gives the greatest amount of electromagnetic frequency. We call it energy, but it's electromagnetic frequency. And it has information in there. Information, just keep this in mind, not just any information, it has intent in there. So we have in this day and age, we have equipment that measures your energy field. That means you're like surrounded by this field energy, which is yours, and it goes at least, with the equipment that we measure, it goes at least 12 feet away, which is about 4 meters away from your body, at least. Why 12 feet? Because the equipment can't measure anything beyond that. But I can tell you, like many of the scientists are saying, actually, it's infinite. But let's just call it 12 feet. So you have an energy field. Your son has an energy field. Your daughter has an energy field. Your partner has an energy field. We all have energy fields, and we interact with each other's energy field. Here's an example. Have you ever gone into a networking event, Sabrina, maybe, and meet someone and you go, you know, they haven't said anything, they're ugly, and you go, don't like him, don't trust him. Or you meet someone else, you go, I really like this person, they haven't said a word yet. Have you ever had that?
Absolutely, 100%.
That's your intuition picking it up. That's your intuition picking up their energy field. And so the reality is, if you were to look at the stars with optical lenses that are out there, you will see that the stars are separate, distinct units. But if you use those using electromagnetic waves, not light, as a way to capture the imagery of the stars, they show up that there's a web out there, a web of information with where the stars are. You know, when you get a web, you get spider's web, and they cross over at the crossover points, at the nodes are where the stars and the planets are. So if you look at the deepest, highest level of vibration, we are all connected. So an experiment, let me give you an example. I'm going to give you lots of examples, and I'm going to try not to say too much because, you know, it'll blow your mind if I do. Here's an example. In 1990, I believe it was 1992, from the top of my head, could have been 91, 93, I can't remember exactly what year. It's one of the early 90s in Washington State in America. At that point, it was the most violent state in the whole of the US in the height of summer, bar nothing. There was murders and rapes and all sorts of stuff going on. So there was an experiment done by a quantum physicist by the name of John Hagelin, Hagelin. Type it up to Google, do your own geeky research. Don't believe a word I say. The experiment is known as the Washington experiment. It had 2 universities involved. It had the chief of police, chief of fire involved. And the idea was to reduce the violence. The chief of police said, short of a blizzard storm in Washington in the height of summer, the violence will not go down. You know, it's that high, it's that bad. They got several hundred people over the space of 3 weeks to sit down and meditate on one word: peace. Meditated on the word peace for several weeks running. Guess what happened? The level of violence fell by over 23% in that time. They weren't blurring out into speakers, but, you know, megaphones saying, hey, peace, 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 stop playing the peace. Peace, calm down. They didn't say that. They just meditated. And so this experiment has been repeated again and again, hundreds of times, different parts of the world, including the Gaza Strip. The only challenge is they don't do it for long enough. So what they found was, if you take 1% of any given population of the world, if you take 1% of that population and you take the square root of that population, so the population of the world is about close to 8 billion. Square root of 1% of the population is about 8,000, 9,000, something like that. If you take that many people with their minds, their hearts, their bodies, their intentions, their vision aligned to the same thing consistently, and it was peace was the thing you wanted, then you will bring about peace. You will reduce the lack of peace, the absence of peace, and you will bring more peace. That's just peace. There's other things you can do. You can bring in harmony. You can bring in collaboration. So we're entering this new humanity where we need to stop fear-mongering. Stop getting scared, because being fearful only damages you. It damages others, but it damages you most. that, I mean, there's more house to it, but please ask away, otherwise it'll be a monologue rather
Wow,
than a
you know,
dialogue.
I'm enjoying this so much. Listeners and viewers, I hope you're enjoying the content just as much as I am. Harun, you touched on so many different golden nuggets, and one of the things that's really stood out for me is this collectiveness, this collective responsibility, but also taking off the layers of wounds. I think that for me really resonated. I love the essence that you told the listeners and viewers to start with why. I'm so glad that you interjected there, because I think that is absolute clarity. I agree 100%, because without the why, it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to go, I'm not going nowhere today, I don't want to do this, because, you know, I think there's something very special in the why. So for me personally, I feel that the vision is the postcode for the soul, and I believe that things start to just shift around. They don't make sense, logical sense, because I know that obviously you've been in our lives for many years, so you know where we started, but there are things I go, well, I can't explain. All I knew for sure, I had absolute clarity and certainty what the vision was, where I was headed, but in terms of how we get there, it wasn't really mapped out. It was just the end vision. But what I also love, and I really want you to listen to this, viewers and listeners, is the essence of building relationships, collaboration, because I think that's the difference that makes the difference. I think that's the game changer. And Harun quite concisely gave you examples that I urge you to go and research. I definitely heard about that myself, is that it's not the whole world that needs to be on board with this. It's 1%. So start connecting up. Start exchanging ideas, start sharing your vision, start focusing on your vision, but do the inner work. Like for me and my family, we actually went to Harun Rabbani for some heart healing, and I was astounded by what you said to me, that, you know, heart attacks, heart issues are one of the biggest killers in the world, because our heart starts to contract with all the wounds and scars and pressures that we go through in life. And for me, when I look at what can take place when collaboration happens, because I came from a one-parent family, low income, my mum worked 3 jobs, so I was the stereotypical reason why nothing should have happened for me. But how did all this happen, not only for myself, not only for my kids, not only for people that I know, but for people globally? So I was very passionate about what you shared, Harun, and I'm guessing for some of the listeners and the viewers, it's like, how do they, so now they've got the why, how do they deal with themselves before going out there? I know that one of the things I had to do was heal. The thing is, where should they start first? Because I know that if some people are lacking confidence, the whole self-talk and all of that, but what can they do? What kind of healing work can they do to get them started, to start expanding that why, to start collaborating, to start connecting?
So the very first thing, Sabrina, so thank you for those questions, actually. It's very important. 2 things we look at. Let's look at working on yourself and then the relationship. First of all is this, that I don't knock our ego, I don't knock our mind. This is important. But the challenge is that the most powerful element of your body is your heart. Okay, it was developed first. The heart gives more instructions to the brain than the brain gives a heart. Heart gives more instruction to the brain than brain gives a heart. In the 90s, I used to be leader of an organization called Junior Chamber International in Birmingham, and I used to sit on the Birmingham Chambers of Commerce as the president there, as in the Junior Chamber president, but in the senior chamber kind of thing. And I remember once they were trying to bring in this whole concept of bringing tram network, get that working. And I said to them, you know what, you guys are focusing on giving logical, rational reasons why we should do it, but you need to win the hearts and minds of people. You have to win their hearts, not just their minds. And they just laughed me off. But of course, you hear this terminology now, oh, you got to win the hearts and minds of people. What are they doing with the NHS right now? Winning the hearts. The nurses are winning the hearts and minds of people, right? So you have to go for the heart. So the first thing is, all the programming that we've had is in our subconscious mind. 90% of everything that you do, all the intentions you make, all the actions you take, all the feelings you have are driven. 90%, 95%, some people more, are driven by a programming which does not serve you. It does not serve you. Most of them, 70% at least, is negative stuff. It's taking the wrong direction. So the first thing is to learn how to silence the mind. I recommend strongly to do meditation. Now, if you're already meditating and it's not working, it's because you're not doing it properly. Sorry, I'm going to say it straight. I don't hold my punches back. Kickboxing champion, I don't hold them back. So I used to be, I'm saying. I'm retired now. So if you're not doing it, it's because you're not doing it properly. Meditation has to be a daily habit. So what I did was I looked at all the different meditation programs over the years, and I found that most of them are very difficult to do because, to be honest, you need somebody to guide you. You need to do meditation for 66 days consecutively before it becomes a habit. So seeing my clients, my tribe, my people struggling, I decided to create, meditation I do naturally, but for them, it's like they were struggling. I thought I'll create something. So I created a 66-day meditation program. Each one, 20 minutes a day, each one is different. 66 different meditations, and it gets exponentially more deeper and more powerful. By the end of it, I thought, when I launched that product, online course, how to do this meditation, I thought at the end of it, people say, oh yeah, I like this one, I'll just do this one. No, they came back for round 2, round 3, and I think some of them are on round 4 now. So why do they like it so much is because I integrate meditation with healing. See, I can't heal. I've healed thousands of people over the years, but I haven't got time to heal millions because there's not enough time. I don't have, there's too many people on the planet. So I created this and I've integrated healing into that. So as you're meditating every morning, every night, 20 minutes only, it's like what percent of your life is that? 1%? Not even that. I don't even know what the number is, but you're doing 20 minutes every single day. What you're doing is you're silencing the monkey brain and you're calming yourself down. Because once you go past the traumas created by the inner mother and the inner father, who's created by your original mother and father or stepfather, whoever's surrounding you, once you go beyond that, you can start raising the inner child. Now, you've raised the inner child because guess what? They're happy, they're healthy, they're full of curiosity, they're full of vitality, and they live longer. So you've got there, that the inner child has been raised. So what we're doing with the meditation is, and the healing within this program, is to help them to get past those inner parents by starting to bring the inner child and let the inner child speak. Because most people think, oh, this is who I am. No, you're not. You are a version of your parents and your surroundings. You are a product that's not who you are. When you know who you are, you'll find that you're a happy person. You're grateful. You are thriving. It doesn't mean you're going to be a billionaire, because that doesn't define somebody. You're defined by the energy levels you're carrying and the impact you're having on people's lives. So 66 days. So if people want to do that, then, I'm sure you can put up a link, 66-day meditation challenge. And everybody who's done it has just transformed their life. It's $1 a day. I do charge. I've spent hundreds of hours creating it, so I'm going to have to charge for it. So $1 a day, you put it up front, 66 days, your life will change. That's one thing you can do, is to work on your mind. The other thing is this, relationships. Studies. I've got a book there called Connected. So I've got this beautiful book called Connected. It's called The Amazing Power of Social Networks and How They Shape Our Lives. It's not talking about Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. It's talking about our real life social networks. Let me give you a few stats. Number 1, the people around you affect your happiness. Your real life, the people, your family, which is your immediate social, you have layers, 3 layers. Your family, your friends, the people you're dealing with, they have effects on your happiness. Now, your friends have an impact on your happiness. Your friends' friends have an impact on your happiness. And your friends' friend. In other words, Sabrina, you're my friend. People that I don't know who are friends of you, family, whatever, are affecting my happiness. There are people who are friends of theirs that you don't know who are affecting my happiness. 3 degrees. This is Harvard University and University of California, San Diego. Read that book. It's called Connected. It's a very geeky book. And basically, the 3rd layer of people, people who are your friend's friend, who I don't know and you don't know, affect my happiness to up to 6%. 6%. Let me give you context. They did a study in the 80s and they took a bunch of people and they raised their salary by approximately $10,000, $12,000 which was, a lot of money, like today's money. These are people who are on decent wages. They've raised it up, and they measured their level of happiness, and they measured that the happiness only raised by 2%. So people who are your friends' friend have more effect on your happiness than you getting a salary raise. That's important. Second thing about social networks, real life social networks, is this. It means about real life friendship, where you're talking to each other, not somebody in Australia where you talk, on the phone every now and again, but you're actually talking together. You're real life people around you. People who are the most connected, up to 150 meaningful relationships, no more. It doesn't go beyond that. 150 people, that kind of level of relationship. Those people tend to be, A, people gravitate to them. B, tend to be the happiest. C, tend to be the healthiest. D, tend to be, I can go on. Those people who are on the opposite end, who got either low or no meaningful relationships, tend to suffer from depression, anxiety. They're the ones who also commit suicide. It is that serious. So suicide and depression is a social issue. It's not just a mental issue, it's primarily a social issue. So we have created a world, Sabrina, my friend. We have created a world where separation is the biggest thing. Politicians divide and conquer. People who believe in pharmaceutical stuff or people who don't believe in it divide and conquer. And that is what's destroying our planet. The new humanity is about building meaningful relationships. I don't want more than 150 meaningful relationships. I'm happy. I've been cutting away people from my Facebook. I'm not going to see that person. I want to build relationships with these people because I can build meaning into, and they can build meaning into mine. How do you know it's a meaningful relationship? Because imagine you are going through a super stress. It's 2 a.m. in the morning and you pick up the phone and you need to talk to somebody. They pick up the phone and I say it's to you and I say, Sabrina, I'm really feeling crap today. Really feeling down. Do you have a moment? And you'll say, oh, Harun, this is not like you to phone. Of course I do. You won't judge, you won't criticize, you won't do nothing. You're just there for me. That is the definition of a meaningful relationship. But no, we're all judgmental. We're so busy. What happens when it's your turn? So where do you start your meaningful relationships? You start your meaningful relationships at home. Start it with your parents and your children. Now, during the lockdown, there's been a heck of a lot of breakdown. I call it lockdown breakdown. Why? Because throughout the year, everyone's busy working. Say a couple, married couple or living together, they're so busy working, they haven't got time to deal with the mess that they've made. And so what happens is Christmas comes along, 1 week, 2 weeks, where they have no choice. 1 week usually, everything's shut down. So like, oh, you mean the coffee shop's closed, so I can't get away from you to go to the coffee shop and I have to put up with you. And then what happens? You have the highest numbers of separation and divorce as a result of that 1 week. Lockdown, domestic violence has gone through the roof. It's gone up by, last time I heard, just a few weeks ago, it gone up to by about 50% at least, if not more. That's the worst case scenario. So the first thing I say with relationships is this. Your soulmate is your greatest teacher outside of yourself. Your soulmate is a mirror to you. Your soulmate is your greatest teacher. If they're triggering you, good, then you know the triggers are inside of you. You see, we have all triggers in our body, in our psyche, which are like landmines waiting to pop off and explode. But who do you explode over? You explode over your soulmate. Have you ever looked in the physical mirror? You see a pimple on the nose or the forehead, and you go, I'm going to smash this mirror up. You wouldn't, would you? People think you're stupid. You're going to be stuck in the loony bin, right? And so, your soulmate is a mirror. And if your soulmate's a mirror and you're getting triggered, be grateful. Because without realizing, they say, there's something you need to address. And so most people don't know how to address it. And so what they do is they create conflict. So what I've done is, I've dealt with so many couples whose marriages and relationships were at the brink, and they came back together. Some of them couldn't come back together because there was too much of a divergency going on, and that's fine. So I created a program, online program, to help people to heal their relationships. It's an extremely comprehensive program. It goes deep. So It's about taking responsibility, personal responsibility, Sabrina. You cannot change. You can't hope for your relationship to change until you change, even if you're the victim of anything. You have
Absolutely.
to work on you. So you work through on you, and here's what you will find. Number one, before you didn't know what you stood for, now you know what you stand for. When you don't know what you stand for, you fall for anything and everything. You will learn how to, what do I stand for? Who am I? Number one, who am I? Why am I? Why am I here? Remember I said why. Why am I? Who am I? What am I? That's the first thing I get people to do. Next thing I do is get them to say, okay, so once you've understood this, also understand where your triggers are. Why am I tripping over? These are, oh, is that trauma? Oh, that time when my mother left me abandoned and unprotected, but my partner now, my partner isn't bleeding, like my partner isn't abandoned me, but it feels like I've been abandoned because once upon a time my mother treated me like this. So I teach you how to heal that, self-heal. The next thing is communication. How do you have quality conversations without beating the crap out of each other? Verbally or emotionally or even physically. How do you do that? You ask questions. You see, you have a particular, you are an energy matrix, Sabrina. I'm an energy matrix. You are not, I can't pigeonhole you into something, but there's certain attributes you have that, and I've already told you one of them is your ability to connect people, certain attributes that you have that define your natural flow. And so within this program, I teach people how to find their natural flow. So if, for example, for me, my biggest flow comes from, number one, freedom. Freedom is extremely important to me. Anything that goes against freedom, my radio station, Untangled FM, stood for Untangled FM was Freedom Matters, by the way. Freedom Matters. My
Wow.
biggest thing, I didn't know what I know now at that point about freedom. And my biggest thing is I'm wood energy, it's all about freedom. But somebody else, there could be, their energy might be, I want to understand people. I want them to understand me. I want to understand them. They're driven by community. I'm driven by creativity. They're driven by community. Hello, how do we collaborate? Business? How do you collaborate in business if you're doing the same thing? We all want freedom. If you want freedom, I want freedom. We're not going to ever come together. I need people who, my soulmate will be opposite to me, which is like, how do we connect? How do I understand you, Harun? And how can I get you to understand me? And she'll be driven by family and togetherness. And I'll be driven by pioneering. And then, oh yeah, I need to go back to family. So when you understand that you're different, then you can honor each other. Do you see that? Do you see that if my partner wants to be understood, I will make time for her because that's how she's going to be happy. You give, as partners, our job to be in a relationship is easy. Create the space for your partner to be themselves. You want to be loved and appreciated for who you are, right? But why the hell do you want your partner to change? You're the only one who needs to change. So I created, and then finally in this program, there's a science called Miansheng, which is in English, it's called face reading. So it's a 3,000-year-old Chinese philosophy practice where the doctors used to diagnose people. But actually, you can also look at someone's eyes and you start being able to understand how they think, how they behave. You can look at their nose, their shape, the Roman nose. You can look at their lips. You can look at their forehead and the lines in their forehead. Like there's parts of my eyebrows which demonstrate that I'm a natural problem solver. You can look. So when you know your partner's face looks like all of these things, you go, oh, I need to communicate in this style. So it's a bit like, it's not like, I know, it's way more advanced than NLP. Let's say if you were to think in terms of NLP language, my partner's visual. Okay, I've got to use visual language. This is way more advanced, way more deeper, and way more effective. Way more effective. NLP, good stuff. And so this is about saying, okay, this is who she is or who he is. And this is, this is why I get annoyed when someone talks like that. It's not that they're trying to be nasty. It's just that they're talking a way that suits them and not the way it suits me. So the idea of this program, I call it relationship rejuvenation. It's all about building trust. If I take my phone and I connect it to the computer for the first time, it will say, do you trust this computer? If I say no, then it will not engage with each other. If I say yes, then the computer and the phone will act. Without trust, you have no relationship. Without trust, you have no communication breaks down. When communication breaks down, trust goes. You need both of them hand in hand. This program is all about building trust. It's all about building communication in a way that is highly, highly effective. It's like the pièce de la résistance. I mean, these are two. If I know that if I can help as many families as possible, many couples as possible, because they take that on board and they apply it, then for me, my job becomes easier, because I can then do the bigger things. Because these little things account. There's a saying. What was the saying? Something about little things. It's not that little things matter. I forget the saying. I've got to drop the saying now. Something about little things are everything. They're the things that count most.
Yes.
And we get annoyed by the little things, and they accumulate, and then they become big. So if I can get lots of couples and families, like you got an entire family there who can apply this, then I can transform. You imagine you touched 1,000 lives, and you got your, how many, 20 kids, right? You got your 20, and they touch 1,000 lives. How many lives am I touching through you guys? See, in this era, you gave me a t-shirt, which I absolutely honor to this day. It's upstairs. I'm not wearing it. It's a Superman t-shirt. And I asked you, why did you give me this t-shirt? I found it really nice, sweet, and everything. You said, because you're a superhero to us. We're in a state of consciousness of humanity where we are all superheroes. We're all superheroes pretending to be Superman, pretending to be Clark Kent, Wonder Woman pretending to be Diana Prince, when actually we need to take off our outer layers and step into our tights on the outside and become Superman again, or Supergirl, or whatever. And so everyone has that ability, and this is what I'm doing. I'm handing over, saying, here you go, be that superhero to your life at the least. If not your life, your family's life. If you want to get bigger, then make a difference to your community. If you want to make it bigger, make a difference to your city. If not, go for your country. If not, do the world. If not, do it galactically. And if you want to work at the galactic level, at the global level and beyond, then come and see me. We'll talk. Because I'll be there. I'm not messing about working on just family level. My family is grown.
Listeners and viewers, I apologize for my serenity in this interview. Harun is one of my very first mentors, and when he starts to talk, I just go inwards. I just listen, and I go, okay, I've got to speak now. You have touched on so much. And for me, it made me realize why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, I've always been very intuitive. And what I realized is when this situation started to boil over, I had to find a way to maintain that essence of me. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you did identify that in me many years ago. The essence in me where I love to connect people, the essence in me where I have to be social. It's not a question of can I, maybe, not sure. It's a have to. I recognize that it's what keeps me alive. I love that interaction. And listening to how you quite eloquently put that together, I love every aspect. Now, we have to learn how to relationship again. And I really echo what Harun's saying, because it's that connection, that trust. It's not that I want to speak to you because you can give me this. I want to get to you because you're the money man. I've gone to networking events and I've heard people talk about people in the most derogatory way, and it puzzles me. It really puzzles me that you're not realizing that we can just honor each other, connect, and together, collectively, we can create shift. And I love what you said. And literally for me, when this happened, I went onto LinkedIn and I said, look, the whole world is at home. So I want to connect with everybody who's anybody that's going to believe in the coming together, that we can interconnect like unique pieces to the puzzle, and then just blast it out. So listening to you, like, you really got me going, oh my word, this is what activated me in this space. This is what we've been doing. And then it's beautiful because the organic unfoldment that happened in our house is that I did it, then my children started to do it in a stacking format. And what I love about you, really taking back to the start of this interview, is that why. Because sometimes we go about our daily lives and we don't realize the why isn't something we have to force out of us. The why is a through me process, and it's an allowance of, because most people go, oh, what did you put in your business plan? I don't use a business plan for this. This is a through me workshop. There's no business plan around the through me process. And what I realized, the reason we do what we do as a family is because we surrender to the allowance. See, and if listeners and viewers, if you really take heed with regards to what Harun's saying, is that when we start unwrapping the layers of the past, we're not creating something, we're revealing something that's always been there. And I love the essence of the through me process, because I know that what got me to this very place and got my kids to this very place is connection. It's love, it's trust, it's respect. But more importantly, it was the why. It was the why was bigger than me. The why wasn't just for me. It wasn't just for my mum at the time. It wasn't just for my kids. If anyone who knows me, they know I keep talking about this generational wealth, but I didn't come from a wealthy family. So I'm like, what is this? And people say, well, why are you talking about generational wealth when you didn't have it? But that was my why. That was the vision. That was what drives me to connect, to go, okay, what are the missing components? What can I learn from you? What can we add to each other's life? And I love the essence of purity that you bring out in that conversation, because in relationships, I get so annoyed when I hear, you're not good because you're not like me. You're not good because you're not serving me. Well, actually, we're supposed to serve each other. And number one, I'm not supposed to change who I am to become more like you. Because guess what? Children do the best thing in a playground. They don't say, I don't want to play with her, I don't want to play with that. They choose what they do want. And they choose to play over here. And they go where it's fun. And they expand the perimeters. But they don't do it from a place of, you need to change and pull up your socks and you need to do this. They play. They surrender to the inner child creativity. And I love, like, you've got me so excited, because that's the conversation that I'm so passionate about seeding. That's the conversation that I know for this new humanity, that's where the seeding is. This, listeners and viewers, listen to this, reach out to Harun. We're going to leave some information in the description. The exciting launch is coming along, but we are nothing without connection. I really want you to understand that. They say 6 feet apart or 6 feet under. They're not talking about any cold or flu. They're talking about the death of mankind if we can't connect. If you and I can connect, because the truth is, social distancing has nothing to do with physical contact. Social distancing is about our connection to each other. We're stopping socializing. And what I've noticed, that people are becoming very aggressive, very angry, like attacking each other. But the truth is, like what Harun's saying, if we reinstate, reactivate communication, connection, connectivity, and a place from service without the labels, because for the one time in humanity right now, we've all been surrendered back to what is it like to be human. Harun, I can see you boiling up with things to share and add. But
no, I was going to say one thing, that social distancing, it's been happening for over 100 years, where the family unit has broken down. We've been social distancing from our hearts by being in our heads all the time. You weren't born just with the brain, and your brain is based on what information is fed into the brain, what you've been programmed with. And if it's a program, that means it's not yours. Don't believe your beliefs. Don't believe your beliefs. And you're 100% correct. It is about allowing spiritual amnesia. Let me just say, spiritual amnesia is basically saying, you came to this planet with a gift. Let me tell you what the gift is. You are the gift. So this gift that was given is you. And so your job is to shine your light. And the only way you can shine your light is to get rid of the crap, which is the wrapping paper. The crapping paper, get rid of it. Get rid of the crapping paper and you will get to the gift. And you will find that if you are the gift, then it's not for you. It is for the world. It's for everybody else but you, because you are the gift. If you had Buzz Lightyear as a toy, Buzz is going to go, no, I'm going to stay on my own. I'm a gift for me. Buzz gets, you played by with everybody. So you're here to play a game. It's called life. It's called living. It's about coming alive by sharing you. Not operating from here, not operating from competition. Yeah, it's okay, running, athletics, whatever. I love that stuff, martial arts. Yeah, sure. But it's not about that. It's about You shining your light the brightest. So my friends, you are the gift.
Sport. So I just wanted to say to listeners and viewers, even with sport, we have the illusion of competition, but it's always been about the inner game. It's always been about what's going on here. You win the race, or you don't win the race inside of you. So Harun, on that note, would you leave a departing message with our listeners and our viewers? I have absolutely loved everything you've shared.
Well, I think I've said more than plenty. When I said, you know, what I would say is this. Imagine that you were given a magic wand or 3 wishes, and you were able to create a new humanity. And you say to yourself, and you were the king of the world or the queen of the world. Here's what I would say. If I ruled the world now, I would make it such a better place for humanity from a space of kindness by doing, fill in the blank. And that might be 1 sentence, or you may have 10 sentences. If I was to rule the world and was to operate from a highest level of vibration, from my heart, from the space of kindness and compassion, whatever you want to say, if I was to rule the world, what would I do? What changes would I bring in? Because that's really your vision.
Wow. Harun, thank you. That's all I can say. Listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us in this conversation. Harun, how can they reach out to you? I know you've got an exciting new launch coming up. How can they connect with you? Social media, websites, where can they go?
Okay, so the best place to find me, the one place I'm actually active is Facebook. So you can go into Facebook, type my name in, followed by Harun Rabbani, and then 528. That's my Facebook page. That's where I really interact with people. Come and join me. I lead meditations. I do lots of stuff with my friends there. My job, my life is I live and breathe who I am, what I am, why I am. My who, my why, my what, my how is one. There's no separation. It's all the same. So come onto Facebook and you find me there. And I'm sure you'll put up the links for
Absolutely.
the 66-day meditation challenge and the relationship rejuvenation. So the one thing about the relationship rejuvenation at the moment, it's £200, but I'm launching it at £27 as the launch price. If you were to do one session with me, 1-to-1 private session, I charge £200 for a session for 45 minutes. So my entire program is £200. That in itself should be £2,000, but I'm launching at 27, so we can reach as many couples as possible. So even if you don't want it for yourself, please share it with others, because if I can save, I'm the product of a broken marriage. No, sorry, I was in a broken marriage, I should say. I'm not the product. My parents are together. And I would not wish divorce on my worst enemy. It really is that important. So if you can help me share it with the world, to help save at least one more relationship, then that would be amazing.
Thank you so much. So listeners and viewers, like Harun said, he will be sending me some links. They will be in the description, and let's help him with his mission. Together we can achieve anything, and let's all do our part. Take good care of yourself, Harun. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you too, Sabrina.